So if we take an element, we initialize autocomplete. Autocomplete is one of the few plugins that actually has a required parameter to it. You have to specify what the source is for the autocomplete because it doesn't make sense to have an autocomplete that you can't autocomplete anything from. So we'll just start with an empty array, and we can type into it, and it's just a normal text field. So we can put whatever we want in here. When we start typing, we'll get autocomplete suggestions. Right? We can select it with the mouse. We can select it with the keyboard. We can also set the source to be a remote data source. So let's say we were searching for swords, and we wanted to just start typing in the name of a sword, and we were hitting that JSON source. We could set the source to be the URL of something, like autocomplete search. And now it's hitting some remote server, which is actually local. And it's getting the data source from there, right? You could also build your own custom source. And so you could provide a function which receives a request and a response. And in here, you'll have request.term will be whatever the user is searching for. And response is a callback that you'll invoke whenever you have the suggestions. So we can just log what they searched for, and then we can respond with, cat. So as we type, we always get cat as a suggestion, and we can see that we're getting different terms. So we could implement some kind of custom logic here. So really, you can have any type of data source you want. You can implement caching. You can do whatever you want inside your source. So we'll just go back to that for now. We see you type one letter, you get results. Depending on how many results you have, that may be a little unwieldy. So you might want to wait until you have a certain number of characters. So you can set a min length, and then it won't do any searches until you've hit that length. You can also specify a delay, right? So it'll wait a full second before it sends out the request. So that way, if you've got lots of users and they're hammering your server, you can slow it down a little. The default delay it's slow enough that if you're actually typing, it's not really running any searches. But as soon as you pause, it feels instant, even though it's not instant. So there's a whole bunch of events. There's an event when you're searching. There's an event when you get responses back. There's an event when the user selects an element. There's an event when someone focuses an element. Right, so if you do this, you can get events like the user just focused this item. So you can, maybe if you want to display some additional information off to the side or something, you can do that. You can listen to when the user blurs the field. You'll get an autocomplete change event, and you can use that change event to determine if they chose an option from the list or if they just typed something in. You can find out the data about the item. So if we listen to the change event, we'll just log it. So we can log the label. So when I blur the field, we get our change event. This item object actually has a few properties. If we actually go into the console, So we can see that it's got a label and a value. Even if we go back to our source that was just, just a real simple array, we still get a label and a value. So the strings are being normalized into an object that contains both a label and a value. And the reason that we have both is you might want to display one thing in the list, but store some other value when they select it, right? Maybe you've got a hidden field, and maybe they're selecting like a username, and you want to display the name, but after they've selected it, you want to store the user's ID into some hidden field, and then that's the field that gets submitted. And you can actually, instead of just having strings here, you can have objects, and the objects can have a label and a value and whatever kind of custom data you want, and all that entire object will get passed back to you. So you can actually send back lots of rich data and react to it however you want to. So maybe you want to update an icon on the page and store off some value into a hidden field, and load some content into another div. You can store all the data about whatever item you need. So that's pretty useful. Another thing that I haven't mentioned yet is the fact that there is a widget method on every single plugin in jQuery UI. So in most plugins, it will return back the same element that you created the widget with. So like on the accordion, if you invoke the widget method on the accordion, you'll get back the accordion element. But with something like autocomplete, where you actually have this other element that's completely disconnected, right? We've got this menu that's text field. The widget method will return the menu. So if we wanted to do something like maybe adding additional behaviors to the menu, or changing some styling on the menu, we can actually ask the autocomplete widget to give us the widget, and then we can do something like trying to think of something that we can do that will stick around. The height's going to get overwritten every time we run a search. We could actually, I don't think the height will get overwritten, just the width. We'll find out. Yeah. So if you had anything custom you wanted to do there, you could get to the widget. Oh, another thing, if you've got really long values, so even with the short values, you'll notice that it expands to be the same width as the text field, so that it looks good. If you have long values, it'll just expand to the size of the word. So this actually adjusts I guess you can't mix objects and strings. It's one or the other. So as I start filtering, the size of the menu adjusts to either fit the words or fit the text field. We have buttons. So buttons are pretty simple. We got a button.